What is going on, guys? So, the other night, I was parked at a Love's. Now, the Love's that I was at was by far the smallest hole-in-the-wall shithole place I've ever seen in my life. Parking lot was all dirt and stone. It was up on a hill and slanted, and that place was just a disaster. But I was in a town called Atoka, Oklahoma. So I get there, say 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Pretty early for truck drivers, pretty early. But I started early, that day. So I get parked, and I go in and I grab something to eat, come back out, and I'm laying down getting ready to call it a night. So now in the back of my head, because I do my research quite thoroughly when I'm doing my trip planning, I knew that we were expecting thunderstorms. So a few hours later, I get this. Now, it's always been on my bucket list. I've always wanted to see a tornado. I want to be within a mile or two of at least an F3 tornado. It's on my bucket list. But I prefer to do it during the day. At nighttime, it's a whole different story. Because the only time you can ever see the tornado at night is when, one, it's either right on top of you, or two, through the lightning. Now, after the alert came on my phone, it said that there was a tornado in the area. I decided to turn my TV on, and I'm sitting there watching the local news, and there's this woman on there, meteorologist, and she's on there talking about how anybody in Atoka, Oklahoma, you need to take cover. So I open up my curtains in the truck, and I'm watching truck drivers. They're all jumping out of their truck and running into the store. It is a torrential downpour. Everybody's, like I said, I'm sure everybody got the same alert on their phone. But everybody, like I said, they're jumping out of their trucks and running into the store. Now, my thought on this, my truck at the time weighed 75,000 pounds. And I was filled with Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup. So if a tornado was going to come through, and it's large enough to where it's going to pick up your truck and throw it, I don't think that building is going to save you either. Now, the only thing that really concerned me is that, like I said, this Love's was a very, very small place. And, of course, we all know how truck drivers park. This place was packed solid with trucks. There were trucks coming in and parking right in the middle of the road and jumping out and running into the store. And the place was a disaster. But the only thing that concerned me is I got the diesel tanks on the right of the store, and I got the gas tanks in the front of the store. If a tornado comes through there, that would have been a downright disaster. So I decided to stay in the truck. I figured, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die in my truck. I'm going to die in this is like my home. I spend 27 out of 30 days a month in this place. This is like home. So figure if something's going to happen to me, it's going to happen right here. Luckily enough, I didn't get to see the tornado. There were, at the time, I didn't realize how much was going on in the area. But the following morning, I found out that there was 4 tornadoes within a mile of where we were. And I'm just getting loaded here, and I'm waiting for these guys to finish up. So, yeah, 4 tornadoes within a mile. So the following morning, I get up somewhat early. It's time to go. Do everything I need to do, and I get out. Now, at the time, it's downpouring. Still, even, you know, when I was leaving in the morning, it was downpouring. So I get a few miles up the road. It starts to clear up a little bit, and I see this. Everybody has a cell phone. And, I mean, I may be wrong with this, but I believe everybody's phone gets the emergency alerts. I could be wrong. But when the wind gets to a certain point, drivers need to understand when they need to pull over. It wasn't just one little storm that poof, popped up. This storm lasted for hours. And like I said, I knew ahead of time that these storms were coming. I knew where I was going, when the storms were going to reach me. And in the back of my head, I already knew that I was going to be parked at this location and that I would be there a couple of hours before the storms hit. Now, thunderstorms typically don't bother me, but, you know, I do keep an eye on them because I know how wind gusts before the storm, you can have, especially in that area, you can have potentials for what's called microbursts. And even after the storm passes, you know, it's sucking up the wind from behind it, which is the wind that's coming out before it. So, you know, these are things that people need to, you know, start focusing on, you know, when they're doing their trip plan. You know, look at the weather, especially when you're going into Tornado Alley. You know, this is the time of year that tornadoes are picking up. I mean, you got, you know, the cold air coming out of the mountains. You got the warm air coming up from the Gulf. And that's what sparks tornadoes. And so when you're doing your trip planning, make sure you look at the weather and what you're going to face. Because the weather can be a huge factor in timing. Well, you may have to pull over for an hour or two and let the storm pass before you can continue on. So be safe out there. And when you're doing your trip planning, always, always, always check the weather. Could save you your truck and your life. I'll see you guys soon.